The ASUS ROG Ally is a handheld gaming computer developed and manufactured by ASUS, running the Z1 Extreme APU. It quickly rose from the ranks to compete with the Valve Steam Deck. Is this the new Keen or a fading trend? Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the ASUS ROG Ally. Well, here we are again. Another PC handheld looking for your dollar. I'm so excited to see this market booming with competition. Lenovo Go, the One X Player, the Neo Air Pro, even the MSI Claw are all valuable in their own right. We need this competition to drive better pricing for better hardware. Quick disclaimer, yes, this is the Z1 Extreme model purchased around Black Friday of 2023. No, this is not the ROG Ally X. I will not be purchasing a mild upgrade for a full retail price. I have made modifications to my Ally, an aftermarket shell so I can fit my full 80mm 4TB NVMe SSD with a heatsink, and I also have a 1TB microSD card.
If any of the previous statements makes you feel away, please leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you.
The Ally is probably the closest handheld on the market to really compete with the Steam Deck. Outside of gimmicks, it outperforms in most metrics. Now, there have been some glitches with hardware and possible mismanagement of RMAs.
But that's not the point of this video. What does the Ally bring to the table? What makes it better than the Steam Deck? And is it a better buy?
Most metrics I'll be discussing today will most likely translate to the Ally X fairly well. The difference between the two models are pretty minimal, and benchmarks should look similar enough either way. This white brick has some things I like and some that I don't. Why white? ASUS really think that we could keep this clean? There are third-party covers and skins for the Ally, but why did it take a whole new model, quote-unquote, to have a black shell? The RGB rings are a nice gamer touch, but kind of distracting. The joysticks and buttons are serviceable, but nothing special, which in my opinion is actually a good thing. No need to reinvent the wheel, just have good quality hardware and that will last. God, I hate how this feels in my hand. Yes, my hands are on the smaller side, but anyone saying this is better than the Steam Deck is just delusional. These rounded corners don't fit well in my palms and the back triggers are too proud for my comfort. The screen is fantastic. 120Hz, 1080p. That's now the gold standard. And the APU can take advantage of it. The Ally comes with the Z1 Extreme processor, paired with 16 gigs of shared memory. What's really cool is you can go into the BIOS and adjust the amount of memory allocated to the GPU. The standard configuration is 12 gigs set for the CPU and 4 for the GPU, but you can set up to 8 gigs. But of course, this will leave your CPU with only 8 gigs itself. Not terrible, but not really recommended.
The speakers are perfectly fine. They can get loud without too much distortion or rattle, and the bumpers and triggers actually work really well. Unfortunately though, my right trigger seems to be a little loose. And unfortunately, I probably need to send it to get fixed. So that should be an easy RMA, right?
And they wanted to charge us $200!
For storage, I modded my Ally with a 4TB NVMe SSD and paired it with a 1TB microSD card. For the past year of the Ally's life, it's been plagued with SD card ports melting. I'm very fortunate to have mine working, but I do have an aggressive fan curve configured. Speaking of which, the fan noise is constant. It doesn't really bother me per se, but if you're on a quiet flight, everyone is going to have to listen to your coil line. Once you open this up, you notice there's a lot of unused space, which is good for the easy upgrade, but the stock battery is pretty much useless. If you don't have an outlet next to you, you have about 30 to 45 minutes at best for even the most simple of titles. What's the solution? TDP controls.
The bar is leagues above Windows. It does take a lot of features from SteamOS, but yet again, that's the best part.
Valve still refuses to release SteamOS as an official, general Linux distro. What the fuck, Valve? Get your head out of your ass. We want your OS. Third-party teams are doing the work you refuse to do. And if I can get a better experience on the Ally than I can on the Steam Deck, either release a proper next-gen handheld, or let me do it myself.
Fuck it.
Simply, Nobara Linux is probably the best option for the Ally. We have a complete desktop experience with game mode. And the game mode is exactly what you would expect. The UI is perfect for the handheld. We have the main menu giving us our library, storefront, and settings. But the exciting part? The alternate menu. Yes, we have access to brightness, FPS, TDP controls, and Decky plugins. And it's all managed with the built-in UI dedicated buttons. Straight from install to first boot, these work. And this is far better than ASUS's UI system. Now to set up TDP controls, fan controls, and among other things, it's a bit more complicated. But mostly it comes down to update OS, run a command in the command line.
If you can upgrade the storage drive on this thing, you can install Nobara Linux no problem.
Yeah, the trackpads on the Steam Deck are nowhere to be seen. This is probably one of the most significant downgrades on the Ally. But we have our App Store giving us to all the software we would have on the Steam Deck. Emulators, web browsers, Steam. Again, Steam is prepackaged with the OS, obviously. There's no new bells or whistles, and we can have an experience that pretty much matches note for note with SteamOS.
I can't stress how important this is. Outside of the physical component of the actual device, you'll be hard pressed to actually tell a difference once you're booted up into the OS, game, whatever. It's note for note. So now my ROG Ally is just a more expensive, more time consuming to set up Steam Deck knockoff? Not at all. This guy is packing some horsepower, and now there's some titles that we can really stretch our legs on.
As you can see, the Ally is just better. Better frame rate, 1080p, just better. You can actually tell the difference. This is the better gaming experience. But does that mean it's the better console? Or even the better PC? As much as I love my Ally, I can't help but feel kinda bored. I've done pretty much everything I want to do with it. Single player gaming is top notch. Online multiplayer is solid with some DRM issues. But
This is the HP Victus. It completely murders the ROG Ally.
I'm not kidding. At the time of writing, I got this bad boy for $479.99. It came packed with a 1080p 144Hz display, a Ryzen 5 7535HS, paired with 8 gigs of DDR5, and a 6550M with 4 gigs of VRAM. So now we have a laptop that outperforms any PC handheld for like half the price?
Now, this isn't exactly a fair comparison. Yes, we have a laptop with a dedicated graphics card versus an APU and a very small form factor chassis. Though, when it comes to price, these aren't exactly that far off.
Yeah, it's more to carry, and you need to always have at least one controller on it. But Windows is a great operating system in this scenario. Keyboard, trackpad, a bunch of I/O, so dongles are not needed. It's easier to make this laptop into a console than it is to make the Ally anything but a handheld. Let's compare. Here's everything you need to play a single player game on the Ally. Now here's everything you need to set up the Ally for split screen multiplayer. And well, the HP Victus. Do you see what I mean? Going from handheld PC to home console is a hurdle. All the extra fluff is not terrible, but is it worth it? For someone like myself that loves the little things you can do to upgrade the Ally, it's a great project PC. And its portability is superb. And the Ally X hits even harder with the black shell and better performance.
I can't deny it. ASUS came out swinging with the ROG. With rumors that Stimulus might be coming as a general release, would elevate the ROG Ally from mid to amazing, especially the X.
Honestly, I had originally planned to run Windows, redo benchmarks, and pad this video out by another 10 minutes. But honestly, I'm just bored. The Ally's performance isn't really that much to talk about. I have literally paused production on this video just to daily drive my new laptop. Now, unfortunately, I haven't really missed either of my handhelds. It's just more powerful and more useful for my day-to-day needs or when I go out. EmuDeck has also been a great equalizer in the PC space. Before, you would have to set up each emulator, controls, graphics settings, ROM directories, all tedious at best. But then the Steam Deck turned emulation on its head, and now EmuDeck is the gold standard on Linux and Windows. And unless PC handhelds start really competing with their price or performance, it's really hard to recommend any handheld at the moment. I will continue to sing Valve's praises about the Steam Deck, and I will acknowledge the ROG Ally for its competitive install base.
Guys, the ROG Ally is just not worth the investment for the average gamer. If you want something console-like with Windows, get a gaming laptop. Between Steam Big Picture Mode, EmuDeck, the usability and performance, it just comes down to price. The Valve Steam Deck still hit all the right notes, assuming that you get the base model. No need to learn Linux, no need to mod in a larger OS drive. All you need is a 1TB microSD card. That's pretty much it.
Now, if you are someone that loves getting their hands dirty and is willing to mod, install Linux, or possibly buy an overpriced external GPU, you won't really get that much out of this, but the adventure would be fun. It was for me. And that's really the takeaway. The Ally was only a project PC for me. Once I found the solutions to my Ally, it became boring. I wasn't really enjoying gaming on it. Halfway through this review, I sold my Ally. But for now, I'm going to keep my eye on the PC handheld space, enjoy what I got out of it, and ultimately move on. I hope to come back with whatever new hotness is in the future, and I hope to see real hardware improvements. The competition in the space could very well bring it.
As always, thank you for watching.